Miss Mattie Merrywinkle, Chapter 9, Tracking and Tracing. The day had started well for Mattie. She'd received an email from Marigold, the first since Mattie had sent off her email address in her reply letter. There was so much to catch up on. It was nice and chatty, and explained that Marigold was, at present, happily divorced, having been unhappily married for far too long, according to her, and despite having no children of her own, she had a successful career as an illustrator of children's books. No prizes for guessing where that talent came from, Mattie thought to herself. Also, Mattie learned that Marigold had no memory of her northern roots, as her adoptive family had moved to Kent before she was 5, her family consisting of just herself and her parents. On the one hand, Mattie was sad that she didn't have a bigger family out there waiting to welcome her. On the other hand, it made the process of getting to know each other again far more straightforward. Besides, as she reasoned aloud to her cat, Gerald, you can't miss what you've never had. Marigold had expressed surprise at how easy it had been to track Mattie down, and the reasons for that were simple. Mattie had changed her address only once in her adult life. 20 years ago, she'd moved from the 5th floor council flat that was allocated to her following her baby's adoption to the ground floor flat she occupied now, a grand distance of 5 streets. The other reason was that Mattie had never married, so her surname had remained unchanged. Fortunately for Marigold, Miss Mattie Merrywinkle had been very easy to find. The email had a number of photos attached, showing where Marigold lived. "And when you come to stay, Mattie," she wrote, "you will be sleeping in the little downstairs room that looks out over the garden." Marigold explained that she couldn't bring herself to call Mattie Mum just yet, and Mattie understood that. To be honest, she wasn't sure she could cope with being called Mum anyway, having lived to a ripe old age without it. The house was timbered and thatched and set in a well-stocked garden that was a riot of colour, like one of the pictures on the jigsaws that Mattie loved doing. The only fly in the ointment was that word, when. When you come to stay, rather than if you come to stay. Just reading the words on the page gave Mattie the collywobbles. Making her way down to Kent equated to flying to the moon by her reckoning. She'd never been away on holiday. When she'd worked at Woolworths, she'd been on a couple of works outings to the Peak District and the Lake District. But somebody else had organised it all, and she'd known everybody else on the coach. Mattie decided to let that one lie for the moment. Maybe she'd feel less nervous in time. Maybe Winnie would come with her. As she was mulling over these thoughts, the phone rang. Mattie didn't recognise the number on the caller display, 0300 something or other, and normally she wouldn't answer such a call, but today, for some reason, she did. "Is that a Miss Matilda Merrywinkle?" "Who wants to know?" She found it was always best to stall, in case it was a nuisance caller. "This is the NHS Test and Trace Service. Miss Merrywinkle has been named as a contact by a person who has recently tested positive for COVID-19. Could you please confirm that you are Miss Merrywinkle?" "What? I think you got the wrong number, love. No, you've obviously got the right number. This is me, but I don't know anybody with a virus." "A Mrs. Elizabeth Greenhalgh has named you as a recent contact." "Oh, you've definitely made a mistake. I don't know anybody with that name." "She works in the Coronation Pharmacy." "Oh, my giddy Aunt Betty, why didn't you say? Is she all right?" "I'm sorry, I don't have that information, but if you could just give me your full name and date of birth." Mattie, still reeling from the shock of the news, told her. "And have you been in close contact with anyone else recently?" "Oh, only Gerald." "Do you have a contact number for Gerald?" "Gerald is my cat." "Oh, right. Well then, my job is to make you aware of the fact that you will need to self-isolate for 14 days from the date of your last contact with Mrs. Greenhalgh. I understand you live alone. Do you have friends or family to help with shopping?" "Not really. I don't know. It's all so sudden. I'm usually the one doing other people's errands. Can I go out and stock up first? No, the isolation is with immediate effect. You will need to log on to the NHS Test and Trace website where you will find more information. Do you have a computer? Do you understand what is required? Yes, no, I think so. Oh, and thank you for letting me know. Good Lord, you're the first person that said that. Thank you for answering your phone. Most people don't. Mattie was wishing she hadn't now, but it was too late for that. Festering fish cakes, Gerald. How are we going to manage? She jumped out of her skin as the phone rang again. She could see it was Mr. Barlow from the chemist shop this time, so she answered it. Mattie, have you heard from the Test and Trace service? Yes, just now. I'm still all of a doodah. They said Betty's got the virus. That's right. I'm self-isolating like you, and we've had to close the shop whilst they deep clean it. She wasn't feeling well the last time I saw her, but we both put it down to the heat and the high pollen count. They were talking about it on their Yes, quite. Look, the reason I rang, Mattie, is to let you know that I've contacted the local helpline to let them know you'll need some support with shopping. Somebody should be ringing you this afternoon. Oh, that's kind of you, Mr. Barlow. Me and Gerald were just wondering how we were going to manage. Don't worry, Mattie. There's an army of volunteers out there only too happy to help, just as you've been helping everybody else. We won't let you starve.